Hey everybody, Edo here, and today I want to talk about your gaming profile. And actually, I'm not talking about your accounts for the games that you're playing, but actually how you as an individual respond to and think of and enjoy, love, have fun with games. I think I need to back up because this isn't something that was really at the top of my mind. I was driving to the post office to drop off packages, as I'm known to do, and I was listening to KQED. And on KQED, there was a segment called What Determines the Music We Love? It was, the host was Mina Kim, and Mina was interviewing Susan Rogers, who was a sound engineer for Prince and a professor at Berklee College of Music. So, typical KQED, interesting stuff. But I'm listening, and what Susan is talking about is essentially this term, your listener profile. And the idea of thinking about how music impacts you internally, emotionally, as an individual, that makes you love a music or a certain type of music. And it's sort of based off that question of like, hey, what's a song you love? Somebody names a song. Why do you love it? I don't know. I just like it. It just makes me happy. I just enjoy it, right? A very basic answer to that question. We all have different music we really enjoy. And so within that segment, she dives in and starts talking about breaking down music, not into genre necessarily or artists specifically, but thinking about the lyrics, the melodies, the timbre, these different elements of the music, and then how they're resonating as you feel them listening, different parts of the brain responding to it, and how lyrics, you respond to lyrics on one side where rhythm is on another. Really interesting. I'm going to link it. Highly suggest listening to that, and also way more articulate, scientific, and qualified to be talking about it than me. However, it got me thinking about what that might mean for gaming. And when I was thinking about it, it also got me thinking a little bit about MDA, Mechanics, Dynamics, and Aesthetics. This is a game development framework or a game design framework I've talked about many times. I'll link a couple videos that really breaks down games and thinks about how game mechanics lead to dynamics of play, and those dynamics of plays lead to an aesthetic or an expression of fun that a player experiences. Now, that is sort of built around an idea that there's 8 kinds of fun. And this is like a specific category. I'm sure there are many other examples, but just speaking about these, that's sensation, fantasy, narrative, challenge, fellowship, discovery, expression, and submissions. And submissions like passing time, getting lost in Sudoku or something. And so, I've talked about that framework and thought about what kind of fun experience you're delivering to a player, but I think there's a disconnect or a gap, which is when listening to and thinking about what Susan Rogers was talking about, that's sort of like even a step below that, really thinking about maybe how some of the mechanics trigger your emotion and your emotional response as a person, as opposed to sort of like, oh, this game's all about having a fantasy or challenge and competition or some of these other type of experiences. And so I was just sort of sitting and thinking about this concept of being able to express why you like a game. It's fun, there's lots of terms we use, but trying to dial in deeper. And when I was thinking about some of those lower emotional levels, I thought about some different things that could relate to it, right? So for when I was thinking about it, a sense of satisfaction, a sense of triumph and accomplishment, potentially nostalgia and memories, like something that's really just triggering because you used to play it as a kid, or it's like what you used to play as a kid, or, the IP resonates with you. Like that's a really core thing. Nostalgia is very powerful, as we've seen. Perhaps a distraction, and some of these can map to those aesthetics, like, that submissive play, just, working on a Sudoku, is also a distraction, right? But maybe for you, that's not distracting, that's challenging and annoying, but what's distracting is like being locked into a 2-player game, and that provides distraction from life or hardship or whatever. There could be a deep connection with tension and fear, and those emotions, and then presumably a sense of release upon overcoming or dealing with or passing through those. And in the same way, creating pressure and anxiety on you, but in a way that like you feel like you enjoy because it's pressure and anxiety based on something that's trivial as a game, so to speak, and not maybe life, but like those are some emotional responses, and perhaps it gives comfort. And so as you're talking about, for me at least, as I'm talking about these different words, I think they don't necessarily connect to the aesthetic. They can potentially connect to the mechanic or even the dynamics, to any of those elements. For example, if you think about luck, right, or the sense of chance, there is a lot of dopamine and excitement you can derive from chance. Lots of people don't like chance and luck. Like there's whole categories of players who say don't put any luck, no luck dice in my card draw in my strategy games or my competitive games. And there are folks who really enjoy that sense of delight and response to a fantastic roll, getting a nat 20. Like those are things that connect and drive an emotional response that people then encapsulate in a sense of enjoyment and over time love for something. And so maybe you have a strong emotional reaction to luck in a positive way and chance, and those are elements, or not even elements of a game, that then may appear in other games, right? So there's luck, there's challenge and enjoying that challenge. There's potentially humor, narrative, all sorts of different elements. And I'm predominantly talking about board games, but when I think you open it up to video games, you have all sorts of passive narrative-based enjoyment that you can really drive at a player, right? There's really immersive, narrative, thematic, and this is true in board games, of course, but in terms of a video game whether VR or even just a really intense experience on a big screen or even a small screen, right? Back plenty of intense experience playing old Nintendo games. But anyway, so those things grab you and they create that love and an engagement with play. And so so why does it matter? Well, I think it matters on some level. And this also comes up in the radio. I guess you call it a podcast, but on the radio segment is the word I was looking for. If you can start to think about your individual characteristics of a game player and how that sort of is your gaming profile. I just made up, I don't need to make up that word, but I just use gaming profile because she used listening profile, but whatever you want to call it. But if you can think about what are the things within this type of play that are triggering a positive response to you, then it opens up all sorts of things. One, it gives you the ability to identify solutions using games as I don't want to say medicine, but like as a solution to an emotional state. I'm really anxious right now, or I'm really angry. Well, when I'm in those emotional states, these types of games with these types of mechanics, or we didn't even talk about, or I didn't even talk about, but could also just be the social dynamics of play. The game doesn't matter. It's being with my friends or whatever. Like, I think that's all important. I love my friends. I don't care about them. But then you could say, hey, I'm feeling this way. I'm in this state. Let me grab this game, this thing to help alleviate that, to address it. Or I'm really bored. I want to engage. And so just thinking about and understanding what parts of games affect you in what way can then help you decide what to play and engage with other people. Beyond that, though, identifying and being able to communicate that will absolutely help you identify other products you like. Being able not to just say, I like this game, understanding I like these mechanics, these elements of play, will allow me to say, well, what other games have these elements? And be able to then communicate with other people like, hey, I'm looking for a game that, has these types of mechanics, has these types of dynamics of play, delivers this type of thing. And then other people can be like, oh, that's this game, that's this game, that's this game, that's this game, as opposed to saying, what's a good game for kids? What's a good game for a family, right? There's like a very different vector on game. I also think then that can be used for reviewers and people communicating what is fun, what's engaging, what's dynamic about a game, going in and really talking about how that could impact you as a player as you're playing it, I think will help connect it. Like if you can connect your review not just to like the top layer understanding of what the game is, but you can connect it to the emotional internal understanding in their gaming profile, I think that will be an amazing review. And I can't even say espouse I can do that, but I think that's really powerful. And then lastly, let's say you make products, really having a key understanding of what things you're delivering underneath it all, and who and what gaming profiles really resonate with that thing that you've created, that will allow you to reach out to those people, communicate to those people, market to those people, and really find I think oftentimes, I think most creators, most board game makers, not everybody, but most, make games because they love them and make games because they believe the game that they've made is good and they enjoy it and engage with it. Now there's all sorts of reasons why that, but oftentimes you have great games that really resonate with the person who created it, but perhaps don't succeed in the marketplace. And there's all sorts of reasons, but one of those might be that the mixture of what is connecting with the person who created it is this subset of folks, and being able to think through it and identify who those other people are might allow you to find your audience, because it doesn't always happen automatically. So I don't know. I thought the radio segment was fascinating. I think this is an interesting thought space. And even though I don't think I've created and pulled together a tool set that's really useful to dig into it, I think if independently you do, and independently you just think about a game you enjoy and why, and really try to describe the elements and maybe write it out and look at different games and start seeing if there's commonalities between those elements, and if there are different states of minds or places you are that, lead to appealing of one type of game or another. I think that would be useful. I've been doing it on my own just for fun, and I think it's a pretty powerful tool. So, something to think about. Thanks. Bye. Hey everybody, Edo here, and thanks for watching Gaming with Edo. Reviews over here on this playlist, League and Insider videos over here on this one. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. But most importantly, play some great games. Thanks. Bye.